Let's talk about handsome homosexuals. So, a handsome homosexual is a man who uses the women that he romantically dates for anything. It could be money, a house to stay at, food to eat, a car to drive, or maybe just these women are funding their lifestyles, whatever they might be doing.
I'm a gigolo, spinning lots of dough. You can tell the way the wide body's hitting on foes. How I'm shining with the fresh clothes. Always surrounded by so many. I'm a gigolo, always on the go.
Many women are willing to pay for the men that they like, or at the very least, there's going to be a willingness to compromise, to lower, to amend, change their standards if a man comes in the package that is attractive to that woman. And Black women are no exception to that rule. I saw this video that I wanted to share because I think it does a perfect job of explaining in detail exactly what many of us have known to be true for quite some time. Let's listen to what she has to say and then we'll break it down.
So, a handsome homosexual is a man who uses the women that he romantically dates for anything. It could be money, a house to stay at, food to eat, a car to drive, or maybe just these women are funding their lifestyles, whatever they might be doing. So, what they will do is they will seek women in whom they can take advantage of.
Take advantage of. So let's unpack that a bit. Many times when I hear about these horrible cheating stories, toxic relationships gone wrong, the narrative is usually that the woman is a victim, especially when it's coming from her point of view. And to be clear, there are obviously times in relationships where men do bad, disgusting, evil things. I don't deny that. But there has to be an acknowledgement that it takes two to tango. Anytime there are two adults coming together, there is always some level of responsibility on either side. And so the thing about these kinds of setups that isn't really being addressed is that in a situation where a woman is essentially fitting the bill, paying, whether it be she's lowering her standards, changing her standards, basically doing things that she wouldn't be willing to do to any other man because she's so sexually attractive, sometimes women can get sucked in because they're falling in love with more of the fantasy or falling in love with the image of that person. And because of that, they are unwilling or unable to see the man for who he is. And so there is such a thing as denial. There is such a thing as self-deception. And sometimes these things are also at play. And it's not that the man hasn't shown who he is or been open about that. There are times when a woman is so dedicated to making that particular man her fantasy, her dream, that she's willing to fund it. And once she figures out that her efforts and her money are not able to change that man to whom she wanted him to be, sometimes they can feel like victims. But as I mentioned before, it takes two to tango. And in any relationship, when it doesn't work, it's usually the responsibility on some level of both parties.
And they will lie, they will manipulate, they will, even though they present as if they're taking care of everything, they will make you feel like it is rational and that it's reasonable for you to give them things. They will start to guilt trip you. They will manipulate you. They will lie to you. They will do all of that just to get what they want.
Now, there are a few things to consider. What is the community of that woman? The woman that is dating that man, is she in community? People in her life who she is accountable to? People in her life who watch over her? Whether it be, fathers, parents, whether it be spiritual leaders, what is the community around her? Because what I found is the importance of community and the importance of having elders, people in your life who help guide you in these things is to prevent you from getting into relationships with people who may actually mean harm. This is why it is so important to not only be in community, but to have elders and to have spiritual elders in your life who can help safeguard you against that. Or at least warn you and provide insight and guidance in areas where you just might have your blinders on or be too young or too immature to perceive what's actually going on. Now, obviously, a woman doesn't have to listen to wise counsel. She can do whatever she wants. But if she does whatever she wants and it blows up in her face, at least at that point, she can't say she's a victim. She has to own the fact that she chose to be with somebody bad. Whereas before, if a woman is doing this by herself, she might be missing all those red flags or choosing to do so without anybody there to call her out on her self-deception without anybody there to call her out.
They will enter into like their entire dating experience, their reason to date is to live. They're not being romantic with you because they love you. They're not being romantic with you because they're craving that romance. They are doing it as an exchange to get whatever it is they want out of you, because they know if they play this role, if they give you what you want, you're going to give them whatever it is they want.
Let me also underscore the importance of women having healthy relationships with their fathers. When that doesn't happen, it creates a lot of chaos, and it creates room and space for women to become susceptible to men who are going to take advantage of them. As in this particular case, it happens all the time. Men have a keen ability to be able to sense or perceive if there's a man around who is just nefarious or good for nothing. Men can do that. Women, it's a little harder, particularly if the woman is sexually attracted to that man who's nefarious. And so, again, going back to what I said before, this is why this whole individualistic mindset, I'm gonna do bad by myself, literally has women doing bad by themselves, because we as human beings were not meant to navigate life alone and make these important decisions without this safeguard of a healthy community.
They want. They're constantly investing into themselves off of another woman's dime. So whenever you meet them and you see them in the wild, they being taken care of by somebody else. But they don't stop scouting. They are always looking for a new supply to take from. They spend a lot of time curating this image to deceive you, whether it's on social media or in real life. And they will lie to you like that. Like that. It's I can't even say it's almost second nature. It comes so natural. It's so easy. They will sit and lie up in your face and not feel bad about it.
I'm a gigolo, spending lots of dough. You can tell the way the wide body's sitting on floors. Look how I'm shining with the fresh clothes. Always surrounded by so many.
You are dating a character. You are dating a character. And oftentimes these men go after women who may struggle with some things. It could be confidence. It could be security. It could be anything. They get with women who they feel are weak somewhere, and they take advantage of that.
Weak as in she doesn't have a safeguard, or anybody who watches over her, anybody who she's accountable to, anybody who she run things by. And I understand, when women get to a certain age, they want to feel like they should be able to do things by themselves, all by themselves, and make decisions by themselves. And I'm not advocating for taking away the freedom or agency of women. I am just adding context for the need and necessity of a level of accountability at any and all stage of our life. Even when you are a grown adult woman, you still need to have healthy men in your life that you're interacting with. If it's not a husband, ideally it's going to be your father if you have a healthy relationship with him, if you know him, and if not, it's going to be some other spiritual man and his wife that you are connected with. Somebody or something who can give you healthy wisdom. And I'm not talking about single, bitter aunties in your life who have never had a successful relationship with men and who can't give you any insight. Like, ideally, you're going to get insight with respect to relationships from women or for people in your life who have shown that they have a history of success.
That's what they do. They will take advantage of that. And these men will mess your life up because they take and they take and they take and they promise and they promise and they promise and they take and take and they keep taking and they keep promising until either you are ran dry or you just can't take it anymore. And you just go and you just have to break things off.
Right. So once the fantasy ends, once the woman comes to an understanding that this whole time she's believing a lie, holding on to a lie, holding on to a dream that was never there, and she's faced with the reality of the men that she's been funding that entire time. This happens a lot. And as I mentioned before, the great thing about accountability when it's in our life is that we can have people who can help call out our blind spots and let us know when we might be doing things or engaging in behavior that maybe are coming from a trauma place. Sometimes these women are also attracted to these dudes because they got daddy issues, or because they have other emotional or spiritual things that they're trying to fill with men instead of getting that healthy validation from God in the people that God has placed in that woman's life who are meant to fill that void.
And sometimes some women don't leave them. Sometimes they'll sit and they'll stay, and then they stick by their man who was really community peened, because he's all over the place just getting things from different women. He doesn't really have one home. He has so many places he can go to. Do not get caught up in that. Do not get caught up in that. Ladies, all I can advise is that y'all, please love yourself. Always be self-aware. Always stay 10 steps ahead. And always strictly examine these men. But, shit, the thought of them, invest into you. Invest into you. Make sure you're good within and on the outside, and let that be your only worry, period.
Yeah, so I completely disagree. The answer to avoid this is not to distrust men and avoid men, because that doesn't deal with the issues that drew that woman to the toxic men to begin with. At the end of the day, relationships are very reflective, and water seeks its own level. Like attracts like. So if a woman finds herself in a very traumatizing, toxic relationship, she has to ask herself why she was drawn to it. What in her, what was broken inside of her, or what was unhealed about her that caused her to be drawn to someone who was so volatile. And so relationships can be great learning opportunities if a woman is willing to be honest about her part that she played in the destruction of that relationship. That's what this relationship should be like. But if a woman just takes these things and uses it as an excuse to not trust men, she's now robbing herself of the possibility of actually growing and healing and getting to the core of some really broken aspects of her own personality that existed before that toxic relationship. So that is not the answer. But anyways, guys, that's what I have. What do y'all think? Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.